Hey everybody, I'm Gary Serra and I'm with the South Granville office.
I'm Casey Archibald and I am with the South Granville office and Gary's neighbor in the office.
And I am Phil Moore. I am Remax Central, been a realtor for 30 years and 29 years with Remax, and I had the pleasure of serving as your president last year during that challenging year.
Awesome. So, describe a typical day in the life of Gary as the agent.
That's kind of changed, but I would say for me, a typical day is kind of having, I would say, a good morning routine, and that's has to be very organic to what works for you. For me, it's just sort of like kind of getting centered in the morning, a bit of like prayer meditation. I do a gratitude list that I share with a friend of mine that we do every day, and I'll take my dog for a walk in the park across the street from us, and just kind of get my day started that way. Then I kind of look at when I get actually to business, I'll look at like emails that I need to follow up on or what have you. I used to go into the office every single day, not always at the same time, but around the same time, around 10ish. I'm working from home a little bit more these days, with being in a new house with a renovation we just finished and kind of getting that sorted out. But I'm also wanting to take a little more time for me and to kind of have more flexibility. I have an amazing assistant, so I know that the fort is being held and it's running well, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'll check in with her and kind of have the luxury of maybe doing that. But my day is usually a follow-up. Again, if there's appointments, prepping for appointments, checking in with my assistant just to see what's on the docket for the day, and then just going through whatever that day looks like. It could be listing appointments, it could be, whatever, things like that. I also am, as of recently, trying to get back into exercise, so I hired a trainer, so we're training 2 to 3 times a week, and that's really helped a lot in kind of getting myself sort of in a better, in a positive mind space.
Do you have a time that you stop for the day? Like, do you have a rule of, I'm not answering my phone after?
Not a hard nut rule, but I would definitely say if I don't have an offer on the go, I mean, like, to be honest, most days I'm not working in the evenings, like after about 6 o'clock or so, unless there's something that's sort of a little bit different where I'm dealing with an offer or what have you. My nights are usually free for the most part. Mostly also because I try to focus on being a listing agent, although I do have buyer clients, especially seller buyer clients or move up clients. So I think that's afforded me a little bit more time with that. Yeah, but in terms of a time to stop, I mean, probably, yeah, like 6, 7 o'clock at night with exceptions.
Okay, awesome. So Casey, I see on your Instagram you've got 2 beautiful little kids who are always full of energy, so your typical day might be a little bit different.
Yeah, I got very jealous of you there, Gary. My day's not quite as relaxed as Gary's. I'm usually up between 5 and 6, hanging out with the kids. I've got 2 kids. My day has changed a lot over the last 2 years. I've got 2 kids under 2 in the last 2 years. So yeah, I'm usually up with the kids in the morning, and then similar to Gary, trying to get back into exercise because I took a little bit too much time off that. So around 7, I'll head to the gym. My wife will get up and then work out, and then I'll head to the office. I treat it really as a business, so I try to be at the office by 9 a.m. every day because I find I'm way more productive in the mornings. Usually my afternoons get stolen by clients or family or just things come up. Most buyers don't want to be out looking at properties at 10 a.m. So that's when I try to work on the business or follow up and deal with putting out fires that usually seem to happen overnight. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the office at 9 usually, kind of banging out emails, getting stuff organized with the team, and then in the afternoons I'm trying to find reasons to meet clients, whether it be showings or appointments, whatever it may be, lunches during the Raptors games, beers and wings and Raptors. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit different than a lot of like Gary and Phil. This year I really wanted to be more on the buyer side because I saw the market changing and I didn't want to be thought of as a guy who can sell a home. So I wanted to work more with buyers this year, and I have. Now that may come and bite me next year, but this year I've been predominantly buyer side, so trying to be out with buyers with them in the afternoons or evenings. And I really try to get out with buyers on their lunch break, because if I miss dinner or bedtime too much, my wife hates me. So I try to, if somebody can sneak out at lunch to see a property, I try to make that happen as much as possible.
Awesome. Phil, what's your day like?
So, if I answer this truthfully, you're gonna think I'm nuts. But I've actually heard Mark Wahlberg's day, and that guy's nuts, because he starts at 2:30 in the morning, and that's his workout time. I have 2 days. My day starts at 4 a.m., and my day starts at 4 p.m. The reason my day starts at 4 p.m. is because in the afternoon I take a 1-hour nap. 4 a.m. I get up, the alarm goes off, and I've got a group we call the 5 a.m. Club, and they're waiting for me at the gym from 5 to 7. I'm working on health and exercise. When I get up at 4 a.m., well, I start answering emails, and I look through what I've missed. 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock workout, 7 to 7:45, I have breakfast, and at 7:45 my day starts, and my day really starts at 7:45 creating work for my assistant that's coming in at 9. So I want to load her up with work so that she stays busy during the day. From 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock, I'm prospecting. My goal is to have 1 evaluation a day, and I usually do. Today it's during nap time, 3 o'clock. But I've had days where I've had 3 evaluations a day. So I recharge the batteries, I get up at 4 p.m., I brush my teeth, I'm tricking my body into its morning, and I start my second day. And I start all over again, prospecting, personal touches. Myself and Doris and our one assistant, we go to all our showings. If it's not a vacant place in a lockbox, we're there to give the personal touch, and my day ends at 10 p.m.
Awesome. So you know what's interesting? The 3 of these agents have all different schedules, different stages in their lives, but they're all very specific and intentional in terms of when they start their day and what they're doing at those hours of the day. And so that's what's really interesting. So what do you like to do when you're not selling real estate? So the first question is, do you sell real estate 7 days a week, or do you take a day off? And if you do, what do you like to do?
So I try to take a day off if I can. Usually if that's going to be the days, I'll try to take a Sunday off if I can. And when I take a day off, I mean, it'll just either be a me day or kind of a low-key day, or that could be just hanging out with my family, or my partner taking the dog for a walk, or he was actually texting me about us maybe going away to Palm Springs for 2 or 3 days just for a little mini getaway. Things like that. I do like to travel. As of late, it's been more kind of spending time at the house and just kind of getting things organized. But yeah, just nothing really crazy, just kind of more sort of recharging and quality time. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that. I probably work most days. I'm trying to, now that I have kids, be a little bit better with it. But I try to take a half day off midweek usually. So I'll take like Fridays. We don't have our nanny Friday afternoon, so I'll try to take a Friday afternoon off, because usually that's slower for me Fridays, and then I can work on the weekends. But yeah, when I'm not working, these days I'm usually with the family, or just try to hang out with friends and have a little bit of a social life. Nothing very exciting.
So I used to dedicate the Friday to taking it off and spending time with family. Then I started to give back in this role of organized real estate, and so now I don't have a set day off. I'm giving back this morning. Tomorrow afternoon there'll be 3 hours for the real estate board on a committee, and then Friday's 3 hours with BCREA. So those are sort of the times that I'm giving back. I do take holidays around downtimes. I know it's more expensive to take a holiday in December, but real estate's not getting done in December. Much cheaper flights and holidays in February, but February I'm building my inventory. I take long weekends off, but pretty much, you know, like anyone here, I struggle with getting balance in your life.
Awesome.
I can just add something to that.
Absolutely.
I just want to add a little bit, like, something that I kind of went through, especially in the last year, is kind of getting to a point of feeling burnout. I really was kind of struggling with that emotionally, and so I'm just talking about that just because I think it's important. Being in this business, it's not an easy business, especially when the market was crazy. It was just trying to keep up, and now with the market shifting, it's more about how do I get business going. And one of the things that I've kind of taken away from that is it's really important to not burn out. I'm almost 20 years in the business, and like it's a disservice to others if you work yourself to the point where you're just basically spent. So I think somebody taught me that, an old mentor of mine taught me that we're no good to anybody else if we're not taking care of ourselves. So one of the things that I kind of to remind myself this last year is to not overcommit or to not overwork in the sense where I'm literally going to burn myself out or have like a nervous breakdown or something. It's not worth it. Life's too short. And I think that just trying to create some sort of balance in your life, whatever that looks like for you, is super important because it's just not worth it.
Yeah, no, that's super important. Someone said to me once, working 5 to 6 days is normal, working 7 is not. And you're right, you're gonna burn out, you're not gonna be at your best. It's okay to say no, because you're really saying not now. And if you constantly get pulled in all these different directions, that will take time for you. What's the best thing you've done or continue to do to generate future business? Yeah.
I guess for me it would be twofold. One would be nurturing relationships, so not being transactional in the sense where I've really pride myself on having a good past client referral business where we're somewhere around 70+%. But like the last panel though, I'm also very grateful that I've nurtured a very long-standing geographic farming business. So both of those, I think, like hand in hand, have helped me kind of have a consistency in my business over the years.
Awesome.
Similar to Gary and probably most agents, obviously referral is huge. I try to not look at things transactional at all, and I try to look at every person, every client that I'm working with as 1.5 transactions. I just said I don't look at things as a transaction, but every listing I have, I hope it turns into another listing or another client. So when I get a referral from someone, I treat it sort of as 1.5. And biggest thing for me probably has been having different networks of groups of people that you honestly like and enjoy spending time with, and then showing them value. I think the biggest thing we can do is show value to people as much as we can. And it's cliched, but that's where you build trust. And when you start looking at things as transactions, that's when things become stale and not meaningful, and then it'll be one transaction, it won't be 1.5 or 2. I've started putting a little bit more money in the business and doing some online lead gen, and that's probably my biggest source of non-referral business. But at the end of the day, I think it's really about how you treat the people you're actually working with. And in this market, it's obviously harder to put together deals. So treating the people, you have to treat them better so that they stick around, because it may take a little bit longer. And when one negotiation doesn't come together, you've got to keep them positive so you move on to the next property. And I think that's been the biggest thing for us, is once you have a client, you never lose them. And they're clients for life because you're providing value and trust and a relationship.
So what helped me was an obsession with personal growth and becoming the man that I wanted to be. I went through high school and I had great grades. I mean, I had high IQ. At 19, I was sworn in as a Vancouver police officer. Why? Because I told them the answers they wanted to hear. You can have all the IQ in the world, but if you don't have EQ, which is emotional intelligence, it's not going to be effective. So ask yourself, how many cops have high emotional intelligence. And then how could I go from being a police officer to a salesperson and be successful if I didn't change and grow, change, shift, or grow? We all have one of 4 predominant behavioral traits: controller, analyst, promoter, supporter. I happen to be a controller. A controller has a need to be right. How well of a realtor could you be if you have a need always to be right? But don't laugh, you analysts, because you guys analyze because you have a need not to be wrong, but you really want to be right. Best realtors in this room are supporters. Their need is to help people. And actually, they are your best source of business. And then there's the promoter. His need is to be noticed. And I'll process a client. And I have 4 listing presentations that I could pull out of my bag. And I present the listing presentation based upon the predominant trait of the personality I'm dealing with. And when I'm doing an evaluation for an analyst, I know right away that his need is for data. And I know probably I'm not going to have enough time for the CMA, but I'm going to come back. A promoter, there's your guy that wants the wine and cheese. I mean, he's got an entertainment style house. A controller, somewhat you have to give up control because they know more than we do. But you also have to be firm because they respect being firm. And the supporter is that person that says, Phil, you know what? Whatever price you think, I trust you. I'm going to list with you. You know what? I take my CMA and I put it away. Price is not the issue, it's relationships. And so, you know, I used to run around and bang on doors in 1989 and hit all of Bob Rennie's expiries. Every single one of them. I didn't even know who he was. And people would invite me in and I'd get in the door and I'd have a coffee and I'd start talking to them. I'd get the tour of the house and I go, okay, I'm going to get this listing. Time for the close. And I'd try to close them. The listing had expired. And every one of them had the same answer over and over again. Oh, I'd never list with anyone because Bob Rennie's my friend. And I thought, who is this guy and how can he have so many friends? But you know what Bob Rennie didn't communicate. He connected with people. And I think that's one of the things that we could do better, and that's one of the things I had to learn how to do, is how to connect at a different level with the client.
I highly, highly recommend that you do reading on understanding the 4 different personality styles. We do a lot of that, a lot of training on that in coaching. And what I learned from that is I had one presentation style. Because I thought everybody wants to know numbers. Oh, no, wait, not everybody wants to know numbers. And so it's super, super important. Phil, do you have any good resources or books or anything to learn those personality styles?
So I tell you what, it's Phil, P-H-I-L, at PHILMOORE.com. If you send me an email and ask me, I'll send you 11 pages that will summarize the coaching work that I've done, that I've received, and that I'll gladly pass on to you. But there are likes and dislikes for all those different personalities. There are phrases that you can use. There are things not to say. And if you want to shoot me an email, I'll just shoot it off to you. There is a personal development company called Sci Seminars. They work on it for a couple of hours. But this is something that you want to master.
100%.
So I'll give you what I got for free.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Actually, I'll email you, and then I'll get it, and I'll post. Or do you want to post it on the Facebook group?
Too many pages, I think.
Okay, email it to me. I'll figure it out.
Okay, I'll email it.
We'll get it done. Awesome. Awesome. Anything you'd like to confess as an oops moment in your career? Okay, you guys got the questions ahead of time. You knew I was going to ask.
Well, the one I wrote down was a few years back, probably about, I want to say almost 10 years ago, and it was back in the day when you could double in. I had a listing of a great West Side house, and my past clients, I sold them into the house. They were going, unfortunately, through a divorce, and somebody came in through the open and said, I want to write, so great. I wrote the offer, got it accepted, they went to remove subjects, and I said, yeah, you've got everything in place, you're good to go, and they said, yeah, we can remove subjects, so they did, but it turns out their financing hadn't been approved. And so, before completion, they said, we can't, like our bank said, we can't get approved. So it was a really, really stressful time. They ended up getting like a month extension, and it finally came together, but I was really actually pretty scared about it.
So what did you learn from that?
I learned from it, the oops, I guess, and what I learned from it is that, you know, if you're representing a client, obviously we can't do that anymore, but if you're representing a buyer, like, really make sure that you get actual proof that they are in fact ready to move forward. Like, if you're dealing with their broker, or if you don't know who they just find it out and get in writing that they are ready to remove subjects in some way like that, because that was a big, and I wasn't a rookie, so it was a big learning lesson for me that I really could have been in a lot of hot water. There was also a lot of commission at stake, but also they were my friends and they were going through a divorce, and so I'm still friends with the wife. The husband, well, anyways. But,
whole other panel discussion.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my.
Okay, that was your oops.
I was thinking about this. About 2 years ago, when condos were going crazy, I had a client who money wasn't really an issue. She lived downtown in Yaletown in a penthouse, and she really wanted to move her father into the building. So it was a little one-bedroom. Guy in our office who's not here today, he had the listing, and he did the right thing. He priced it low. It was in 2016, I think. Priced it at $599. And she went to see it. She sent me a text that night. She said, "It's great. I went down there in my slippers. It's exactly what I want." Great. And she said, but there was about 60 people there. I'm like, oh, here we go, this again. So I told her, I thought if you want it, it's probably worth about $670, $675. And then you have that whole conversation with people and multiple offers. So I talked to the listing agent. He ended up having 12 offers. So I told her, I said, you want this place, you're obviously going to be subject free, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, however much you want to pay, it's up to you. I mean, I said it's worth about $675. And then I went for dinner, and I came back and I looked at my phone, and there were about 8 different messages from her saying, well, I don't want to lose this over 10 grand. I could pay $685. And then, well, should I pay 7? Do you think if I paid $720 I would get it? And then I was just like, oh no. And then, anyways, she called me. I said, you know what, sleep on it. We'll talk in the morning. They're looking at offers tomorrow. She called me in the morning. Said, I want to pay $750. I said, okay. Well, you're paying too much for this property, but is it for me to tell you what to pay? If you paid $675, you didn't get it, you'd be pissed off. Anyway, so when I was flying to Florida that same day, and I called Jerome. I said, I'm sending you an offer. Can you please let me know that I got it before I get on my plane? He goes, Casey, there's 12 offers. Don't be so confident. I go, I've never been more confident in an offer. Anyway, it was actually an agent from our office who owned the place. He had moved to Toronto. It was his place. Long story short, we got the offer. And I had about 5 different agents call me. Like, what the hell happened there? What were you thinking? And it was tricky because you don't really know how to advise someone when they have that much money and they don't really care. But I'm happy she's not going to be selling it this year.
So what's the lesson out of that?
I think just tell people to hang on to property longer. I don't know. I mean, it was just it was a tricky situation. I think it was more of a it's going to be challenging in the future chatting with her about what her property's worth than it was at the time.
Yeah, but she's got money.
So controllers never have any oops. We're never wrong. I'll give you the oops. I still think it's a good idea, but let me give you a bit of background and context that maybe made it an oops. I'm in California. There's 53 people on this course. We're at day 3. Everyone's now asked to take their name tags off, and you're going to go up to each and every one of them, the 53 people, and based upon their beingness, how they showed up, you're going to say whether they were a giver or a taker. But before you do that, you're going to say their name. Okay? And if you don't know their name, you're going to say the magic words. I don't care enough about you to know your name. You are a giver or you are a taker. So I know no one's name. Like, I'm totally screwed. But I'm going to one-up this facilitator. So I went up to each and every person Said, I don't care enough about you to know your name, but I do know you're a chiropractor. I do know you work in the naval. I do know you're a counselor. I knew everyone's profession. And the facilitator watched me, and he said, in front of everyone, did you just go up and give everyone's profession? I said, and I'm proud. Yeah, I did. Of course you did, because you're all about money. And you didn't care enough about them to know their name. And I thought about this, and my oops was, in the 90s, I sent out a Christmas card, but I wanted to save time. I didn't want to sign the Christmas card, so I had the Christmas card made, and I still like this idea, but it was a Remax balloon. Santa was in a Remax balloon, and the card was addressed, and it was signed. I didn't sign it, it was pre-done like that. And I got a couple clients that called me and said, you know, Phil, it would have been really nice to have a real Christmas card. And so, wow, maybe I was showing up that I was all about business or all about money. What I see mistakes in social media is everybody's listing this and everybody's selling this, and they're posting and posting and posting. And the consumer wants to know about you. They want to see you on that hike at Quarry Rock. They want to see you with your family. They want a personal relationship with you. That's why they're following you on social media. And so it's all about growing and learning.
That's awesome. Awesome story. Do you ever waste time? Are you always productive, or do you ever waste time? And if you do waste time, what's a time waster for you?
I definitely waste time, I would say. Although I would say I'm definitely kind of a doer. Definitely control personality, like Phil said. I would say my time waster is, I think, getting lost in social media. I tend to kind of do that sometimes at night, and I'll just get lost in Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and just almost like go down the rabbit hole. So that's one of the areas that I really want to work on, is how much time I spend with my phone, and I've been getting better at that, but that's an area that I need to work on. And I think that what I would say from a personal note on that is, I don't know if any of you can relate, but it's really easy to compare and kind of follow that falsehood of what that is. And you know, people post all, like, you know, obviously fun things, and but it's easy to sometimes get lost in that comparison of, oh, look, this person has that, or they've done this, or they look like whatever. And that's a losing battle as I've gotten older. Like, it's just one of those things that you just, there has to be a separation, and almost like a wall that I need to put up to kind of block that out, because it's not healthy, you know, in terms of if you're not sort of in the moment and in yourself. So that's my time waster.
Yeah, probably a lot very similar to Gary. Actually, Maggie and I were talking about yesterday at the office how you'll be doing something and then your phone will ring and you'll answer it, and then you'll go back and you'll totally forget what you were doing, and then it'll take you an hour to get back on track. So I think time blocking is very important for that. For me, it's social media, but also WhatsApp chat groups with my friends. You get in long conversations about anything and everything, and then I realize that I haven't done anything for an hour, so that's probably the biggest one.
So I think it's not wasting time, but I have downtime, and how do I utilize my time? I might show up to an appointment 10, 15 minutes early. I carry my iPad everywhere, and I read. I work with Youth at Risk. We're going to put on a camp in August. We try to convince these kids to read 10 pages a day, and at the end of the year they'll have read 15 books. And so here I'm preaching this, and I got to live it. So I try to read in my downtime, and I try to live by that 10 pages a day.
What are the best books you've read recently?
So for basic understanding and grounding is the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements is the key to success for anything. When I became the president, I made the board of directors read a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, Getting on the Side of the Box. And it was a fictitious CEO and his company, and it's how we see people as objects and not people. So that was written by an Arbinger group, Leadership and Self-Deception, Getting on the Box. That's really for teams, but I really love the 4 agreements, and that's the book that we work with on the Youth at Risk, starting at age 13. Frank Giustra, a billionaire, he says that book changed his life. And if you live by those 4 agreements, you'll always be successful.
Awesome. Gary and Casey, I know it wasn't on the list, but do you have any books or podcasts or anything you want to share that are really valuable to you?
Gary V.
Gary Vee, yeah. I'm not a fan of Gary Vee, actually. I would say, I mean, yeah, like, a particular book that I've read. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it's a Gold Keller Williams, Gary Keller book. But like a lot of books that are on self-development, books about gratitude, abundance, that kind of stuff. I think if you're okay to read that kind of stuff, it's really helpful and useful to kind of reset. I'm not a big reader, and actually what Phil said kind of was a good reminder that I want to put time aside for that. I've been reading the last 2 or 3 nights, and it's been good, but it's sort of having that quality downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge reader, but when I do read, I like to read books on sort of biographies or other people, athletes or business people. My favorite book that I read this year was The Shoe Dog. Has anybody read it?
Yeah.
About the Nike founder.
Yeah.
Amazing book, entertaining and motivating.
If any of you come across amazing books or amazing podcasts, that's a great thing to put on the Facebook group. Because honestly, that's how I personally build my list of what to read next, because someone is so excited and passionate about what they've read. And I like what Casey said, is it's good to read things outside of real estate to see, because then you think about how it resonates with you in your own business. I think it's really good. What advice would you give to someone who has not yet reached platinum and it's a definite goal of theirs, or is just starting out in the business?
I think for me, just having patience and persistence, like what was talked about, even in the last panel, if you're new in the business, this is not a fast money business. It's not an easy, get in and make riches quick business. This is a business that has taken a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but also a lot of money. It's one of those things you have to invest back in the business, like other people have said, and have the patience and time to kind of just consistently do certain things that are going to kind of deposit in that bank of success that you're going to have down the road, and building relationships, not being just about transactional. I would say that's probably the main thing. And if you're trying to reach a certain level, I remember back in probably 2006, 7, something like that. I hadn't broken 6 figures yet, and it took me a few years to do that. And I felt like it was sort of like this glass ceiling that I was struggling to pass. But as soon as when I look back, what I know that I was doing then that helped me break that was that I kept consistent on doing things like geographic farming, like continuously touching my sphere and my database in ways that I felt worked for me. And eventually that paid off. And then I broke past that, and then it just sort of set a new bar. And some of that's psychological too. Once you hit a certain point, you kind of understand, okay, I can do it. It's just like going on a hike or doing something physical that you didn't think you could do, and then once you achieve it, you think, I can do it. So I think that if you haven't reached that, don't give up, just keep persisting. I would say, without a doubt, whatever works for you, whether it's something organizational, like in a part of a group, or just one-on-one, get a mentor. I know I had somebody very close to me that was my mentor for most of my career, up until the last about 5 years. My friend Ian, he's now retired. He's actually part of my team now, and I've actually taken over his business. So he was instrumental in helping me build my career, and I just basically ripped off and duplicated what he did. And that having that giving, like what Phil talked about, giving back is something that I've tried to really do in my life today, whether it's for organizations outside of real estate, like just nonprofits or whatever, but also even within my office. If someone asks me a question, I'm always willing to answer. If you ever want to chat with me, just reach out to me. I'm not one of those people that will say, I'm not going to tell you anything because I want to keep it for myself, because that's not how I got to where I am. So
Awesome. That's awesome advice. Casey?
Yeah, echo a lot of what Gary said. I think that I'm a big believer in what I call real estate karma. Maggie hears me talk about it all the time, where you do the right things and you stay doing the right things, things will happen. Or some people say it's your farming or your gardening, eventually the flowers will grow. So when I first got into business, when I joined this office, our managing broker at the time was doing some training, and he said one of the things he said was, Don was there, he said, a table needs 4 legs to stand on, so you need 4 pillars for your business. And I mean, what Gary said, rip off and duplicate, there's no secrets in this business. And there's 50 different things you can do, 50 different legs to hold up your table, but you need to choose 4 that you're actually going to like and that you'll do. Because if you don't like door knocking, A, you're going to hate your job, and B, when times get tough, you're not going to do it, or you're going to take that day off because you don't really like doing it. So I chose 4 that I knew I would like. I love what I do now because I chose things I like doing, and over time, those 4 have turned to 6 and 8 more. But I just chose things, and then I say, if you have a slow month, just keep doing what you're doing. You don't get stressed out because you're putting in the real estate karma. So that's a big thing for me. I think that, like Gary said, it can be a very expensive business. It doesn't have to be. If you like door knocking, it doesn't have to be. I've knocked on maybe 2 doors in my life, and that was because Alea forced me to. It's not my jam. But if you don't have funds to market for yourself, then you might need to do that, or you may think about joining a team where that's done for you. I didn't join a team when I started, but I had 2 years of working for a developer doing pre-construction, so it was a bit of a soft landing segue into the business. I think that if I had joined a team, or if I had, I had mentors around the office. Our office is great. People share. Gary's awesome. You ask him a question, I'll answer it. And I'm the same way. But if you don't have someone that essentially tells you what to do, your growth may take a little bit longer. So if you want to make $300,000 in your first year, you're probably going to need to either spend a ton of money, B, be on a super productive team that's giving you a bunch of business, or knock on 100 doors a day. I don't know. But if you'll learn a lot quicker if you've got a mentor or a team, or it's just going to be a little bit more gradual. But at the end of the day, it's about sticking to things that you like doing and do it consistently. That's the biggest thing.
So I think that one of the 2 things, the first thing we touched on the earlier panel is Jamie Hooper. Shit, he stole all my ideas. I farm, and I do everything on that card, and he was nice enough to print that card off and give it to everyone, but that card works. My farm is 78,000 homes. I farm Burnaby. If someone's calling, I'm going to be 1 out of 4 or 5 people that are called for an evaluation. The second thing is, when I get in the door, I don't communicate, I connect. I try to be able to get on the level where I can develop a relationship and connect with those individuals. You know what you do well, you have certain strengths, it's worked for you before, do it even better, master it.
Awesome. We have time for a couple of questions. What do you want to ask these rock stars? Lynn.
I just want to know, do you guys invest in real estate? Do you have revenue properties besides your personal residence? Are you building up for your retirement or your exit at one time, and what's your strategy for that? Besides working for income, are you working for your net worth, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was taught from Ian Holtley. So I've invested in real estate. I own some investment properties plus my principal residence, and I'm super grateful for that. I mean, my philosophy is based on the fact that just invest in what I know, and real estate is what I know. I don't really understand the stock market. I've got RSPs and stuff, but I don't really understand it to the degree that I understand real estate. So I'd rather invest in what I know. And certainly, for sure, me being 51 now, like I'm really thinking about my retirement. Like I'm thinking about my exit plan at some point, and kind of setting up the second half of my life to be comfortable, and having real estate where eventually, it's giving me passive income, or I can sell it off and have, money in the bank to live on. That's my goal. One of the fears that I had, and this is something that was drilled into me, is that and this is not a judgment, it's just more of an observation, is I remember when I was younger in my career seeing agents that were like in their 60s and were like literally struggling to do their next deal because they needed it to pay their mortgage or pay their rent. And that struck a fear in me. I didn't want to be in that position. So, for me, like, I've always said I'm super grateful for being in this business because I have a high school education. I don't have a formal post-secondary education, and I would never have the life today if it wasn't for real estate. So I take that very seriously. I also know that we get paid very well for what we do. So I want to make sure that I'm putting myself in a place where at some point I can kind of take it easy and have a better, a very comfortable second half of life. So
That's awesome.
That's real estate. My goal is to buy or sell one of my own properties every year. The first place I ever bought was a little loft in Gastown, and then I've kind of played Monopoly since then. I also believe it's important to practically preach. So, if you went and met with a financial advisor and they were like, oh no, I don't touch the stock market, I probably won't either. So, like for example, a couple weekends ago I sold 4 units in a pre-sale in Kelowna because I bought one and I believed in it so much that it's easy to tell people like, this is a good opportunity.
So all my buddies are retiring with a policeman's pension, and I'm not. So it's a little easier when it's 2 people in the family both selling real estate. Our goal was very similar: buy 1 property every year. Things got crazy in the last 3 years, so we've stopped at 27. But we believe in real estate, and we haven't sold any.
Awesome. You know what I'm taking away from these 3 is that they all have a CEO mentality. They're not sales reps, they're not agents, they're the CEOs of their business. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Thanks, guys.